Security camera footage freezes on a faceless silhouette of a woman being escorted out by two security guards. A man in a dark tailored coat stands still, looking down at her. They didn't know who he was. Not until it was too late. And one racist insult cost her everything. This is the story of Derrick Hayes, a man who built wealth quietly, invested wisely, and lived humbly. The type of black excellence people overlook because he never needed to prove anything to anybody. And that humility, that calm confidence, it's what made one woman underestimate him so badly. She ruined her entire career in less than an hour. Derrick was a quiet storm in the investment world. 42 years old. A father. A philanthropist. A quiet shareholder in multiple industries, tech, restaurants, and even real estate. But one of his hidden ventures, one almost nobody knew about, were luxury auto dealerships. Not because he loved cars, but because he loved investments. He bought into a dealership group years ago. Quietly, privately. His name wasn't on the wall. It wasn't on the website. But his investments kept that business alive through tough years. His business rule was simple: your ego is your enemy. And that rule would soon expose one of the biggest public embarrassments in dealership history. It was a warm Saturday morning. Derrick wore what he always wore on weekends: black joggers, a simple hoodie, and sneakers. No jewelry, no watch, no designer flexing. He walked into Whitfield Lux Motors, a dealership known for pandering to wealthy elites, celebrities, and foreign businessmen. A place that cared more about appearances than character. And the moment he stepped through those glass doors, everything changed. Her name was Karen Whitfield. And yes, that was really her name. Early 40s, well-groomed, expensive pearls. The type who sniffed at people she decided weren't worth her time. She surveyed Derrick up and down like he'd tracked dirt into her temple. "Can I help you?" Her tone was cold. Not curious. Not welcoming. Just cold. Derrick spoke politely. "Yeah, I'm looking to buy something. What's your best offer on the 2024 LX Coupe?" Karen's eyes widened, then narrowed. "Our high-end inventory is for serious buyers only. You'll probably want to see the used section, back corner over there." She didn't even look at him again. She waved her hand dismissively, eyes glued to her phone. Derrick smiled, not angrily, not offended, just knowingly. Because this wasn't new. A businessman across the showroom watched the interaction. A woman behind the reception desk paused mid-typing. Everyone saw the disrespect, and Karen ramped it up. She walked right past him, rolled her eyes, and whispered to another employee, "These people will waste your whole afternoon." But she didn't whisper enough. The businessman overheard. The receptionist overheard. Derrick heard. Derrick stepped closer and spoke calmly. "Ma'am, I just want to speak with your manager." Karen stopped. Turned. Cold smile. "My manager doesn't have time for this. For you. You don't belong here, ape." Silence drops like a hammer. A customer gasped. A salesman dropped a pen. The air turned electric. In that moment, her entire career ended. She just didn't know it yet. And here's where the twist begins. Derrick didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't curse. He simply smiled, nodded once, and walked out the door. Karen chuckled and shook her head. Another broken clown. She had no idea who he truly was. 3 hours later, a black luxury SUV pulls up to the dealership. The doors open. Out steps Derrick, calm, silent, and behind him, 2 senior executives from the car manufacturer itself. Both women. Both were dressed in corporate suits. Both walking with purpose. The receptionist stood. Salesman froze. Karen's face was drained of color. One executive spoke loudly so every employee could hear. "This is Mr. Derrick Hayes, one of the largest private investors in this dealership group. We are here regarding an incident. Yes, a VIP client, a shareholder, and more importantly, someone who deserves respect you failed to give." Her voice sliced through the room. The executives demanded the manager pull up the security footage. Every word Karen had said, every smirk, every refusal, played on a giant screen. Her co-workers watched in horror. Karen watched her career disintegrate in high definition. The manager didn't hesitate. "Karen Whitfield, you are terminated effective immediately. Security, escort her out." Her $150,000 salary, gone. Her reputation, destroyed. Her arrogance, shattered. She begged. She cried. She insisted it was a misunderstanding. But the footage didn't lie. Karen was escorted out, humiliated. Derrick didn't even look at her. He turned to the executives. "I'd like the LX coupe. And I expect you'll train your staff properly from now on." They offered him the car at a heavy discount and a personal apology. And the dealership announced mandatory anti-racism and professionalism training. If you're still watching, hit subscribe and share so stories like this reach people who need to hear them. Sometimes silence is more powerful than shouting. But Derrick's story doesn't end here. Because Karen Whitfield had connections. Connections that would turn this from a story of revenge into a story of survival. 3 days after her termination, Derrick's home security system captured something disturbing. Karen wasn't done. A black sedan slowed in front of his house late at night. Windows tinted, engine idling, and someone stepped out. A faceless silhouette holding a phone appears on screen. They weren't there to apologize. They weren't there to talk. On that phone was Derrick's name. And a voice whispered, "He ruined her life. Time to ruin his." Revenge doesn't always show up at your door screaming. Sometimes, it waits in the shadows. Watching, listening, planning. He ruined her life. Now we ruin his. 3 days after Karen's termination, Derrick's world shifted from peaceful success to vigilance. Not paranoia, not fear, just awareness. He didn't tell his family. His daughter was staying with her mother for the week. And Derrick preferred to keep it that way until he understood what he was dealing with. He reviewed the footage frame by frame. A figure stepping out of the sedan. Not Karen. Someone else. A silhouette with broad shoulders, a slow gait, hands buried in pockets. A second figure sat in the passenger seat. Lights off. Engine humming. The phone call. The whisper. The intent. And then the car drove away. No plates visible. No identifying marks. Just shadows. For Derrick, this wasn't business anymore. It was personal. Derrick didn't waste time. The next morning, he walked back into Whitfield Lux Motors, not as a customer, but as a shareholder whose silent presence now carried weight. The staff recognized him instantly. Their posture straightened. Their tone shifted. Respect layered over fear. He asked to speak with the dealership manager, Colin Reyes, a jittery middle-aged man whose confidence seemed permanently glued to a cup of coffee. "Mr. Hayes, we had no idea things escalated beyond the dealership." Derrick nodded once, calm. "I need information on Karen Whitfield. Employment history. Known associates. Financial records. Anything suspicious." Colin paled. Is she threatening you?" Derrick's eyes narrowed. "Let's just say, someone is." Colin swallowed hard and led him to the office. The dealership provided Karen's personnel file, clean on the surface. Polished. Too polished. But beneath it, Derrick found patterns. Customer complaints. Repeated warnings. Suspensions. Notes about anger issues. Comments from old co-workers describing entitlement, manipulation, and connections. And one thing stood out. 2 years ago, Karen had filed a restraining order against a man named Brent Sawyer, her ex-boyfriend, former security contractor, a man with a violent record. Derrick leaned back. "Brent," he said under his breath. "So you're the one outside my house." Before Derrick left the office, the executives from headquarters called him in for a closed-door meeting. "Mr. Hayes, we've done our own digging. Karen has been contacting former clients, stirring trouble. She blames you for her firing. We have reason to believe she's not working alone." Derrick raised an eyebrow. "I figured that much. Her ex, Brent Sawyer, is known to be unpredictable and dangerous." Derrick's eyes hardened. He already knew. If you're still watching, hit subscribe and share this story so more people understand how quickly one moment of prejudice can spiral into real danger. Derrick wasn't easily shaken. His success didn't come from chance, it came from discipline. He spent years navigating boardrooms filled with men who doubted him, underestimated him, and lied to his face. He learned to observe, analyze, prepare. Now, he used that skill. He upgraded his home security, motion sensors, alarms, external cameras with night vision. He alerted local law enforcement. He informed his private security team that they might need to be on standby. And then, he waited. The sedan returned. This time, it pulled up closer. Brent Sawyer stepped out wearing a baseball cap, hood pulled low, eyes obscured by shadows. He didn't approach the door. He dumped something. A package, wrapped in a brown paper bag. Then he returned to the car. No hurry, no fear. Confident. The sedan drove away. Derrick stepped outside cautiously, phone recording. Inside the package, a smashed phone, a note, and something far more disturbing. A printed photo of Karen. Her face was swollen with bruises. Her eyes are red, a fresh black eye, and a message in thick marker. "You caused this." Derrick exhaled slowly. This wasn't anger. This was manipulation, blame, a trap. He stepped back inside, phone in hand. He called Officer Bennett, a detective who handled workplace harassment and threats. Bennett arrived within the hour. "This man, Brent Sawyer, he's bad news. I know his record. And if he's sending messages like this, he's escalating." Derrick nodded. "He's trying to provoke me." "Yeah, and provoke you into doing something reckless. Don't take the bait." Derrick agreed. But his mind was already 3 steps ahead. 2 nights later, the alarm screamed. Derrick woke up with a start, grabbing his phone. Camera feed, a masked figure at the back door, crowbar in hand. Not Brent. Someone bigger, unknown. He called the police immediately. Sirens howled across the neighborhood. The intruder ran, disappearing over the fence. But they left something behind, fingerprints and footprints. It was clear now, this wasn't random. This was organized. Detectives found something far more alarming. Karen had filed a lawsuit against the dealership for wrongful termination. In her complaint, she blamed Derrick personally. Her claim stated Derrick attacked her character, conspired to remove her, and robbed her of professional dignity. And her ex-boyfriend Brent signed on as a witness. Derrick stared at the paperwork. "She's playing victim and using muscle to intimidate me. She's playing a dangerous game. A very dangerous one." A week later, Derrick met the executives again. Their faces were tight, concerned. "We've discovered where Karen has been getting her legal support. It's from a group tied to a very aggressive activists. These people don't fight fair. They use intimidation, threats, pressure tactics. Derrick remained calm. I'm not afraid of them. Maybe not. But you do have a public image, a family, assets. They are trying to force you to settle. Derrick clenched his jaw. No. I won't reward bigotry. A week after the lawsuit was filed, Derrick noticed something strange. His email inbox is filled with threatening messages. His social media accounts were flooded with harassment. Photos of his house circulated online with captions like, "Racist investor destroys woman's life." They were painting him as the villain. Karen's narrative spread like wildfire. And Karen was no longer a disgraced employee. She was a martyr, a victim, a woman abused by a powerful investor. And she was exploiting it. Videos of her crying on camera circulated. Her black eye is visible. Her voice is shaking. She painted Derrick as a monster. And Brent Sawyer? He was right beside her, feeding her narrative. This isn't just a story, it's a warning. Hit subscribe and share to help expose how prejudice mutates into manipulation. And then, the worst happened. One of Derrick's own business partners, a man he trusted, called him with news. Derrick, corporate is panicking. The board is questioning your silence. They're considering removing you from your position until this blows over. Derrick's entire world tilted. They're turning on me. They are, his partner replied. They're scared. Derrick didn't panic, didn't crumble. He got ready, prepared documents, evidence, security footage, legal counsel, and he made a choice. He would confront Karen publicly, once and for all. But when Derrick drove toward Karen's apartment, something happened that changed everything. He saw the same black sedan parked outside, lights off, engine running. He parked his car quietly, stepped out, and as he approached, the street was empty, silent. Only the hum of the sedan and the distant buzz of a street lamp filled the air. Derrick approached slowly, heart steady, eyes sharp. He dealt with aggressive shareholders, hostile boardrooms, lawsuits, but never a man stepping from the shadows with a weapon. Brent Sawyer stepped forward, face obscured by a hood, a baseball cap shadowing his eyes. In his hand, a tire iron. Not a gun, not a knife, but heavy enough to make his intentions clear. You think you can just ruin her life? Walk into a room like you own everything. That stops tonight. Derrick didn't move. He stood grounded, calm, even with danger staring him down. Brent circled him slowly, dragging the tire iron across the asphalt. Metal screamed against concrete. She lost everything because of you, and you stand there like it's nothing. Derrick's voice was quiet. She lost her job because of her actions, her words, not mine. Brent's grip tightened. You think you're a hero? Derrick didn't flinch. I think I'm a man tired of being your punching bag. And then, from behind the sedan, Karen stepped out. No pearls, no polished look, hair disheveled, face bruised, fresh bruises layered over old ones. She clutched her coat tightly around her, trembling. Brent, stop, please. Don't do this. Derrick's eyes narrowed. This wasn't Karen from the dealership. This was a woman broken, manipulated, terrified. But the bruise on her face, was it real or staged? Derrick kept his voice steady. Karen, what are you doing? She shook her head violently. I didn't know he'd go this far. I told him what happened at the dealership and he... Brent cut her off with a sharp growl. You told me everything, and I'm gonna fix it. He raised the tire iron slightly. But Derrick wasn't alone. He never came to dangerous situations unprepared. From across the street, a car door opened. A silhouette stepped out. One of Derrick's private security team members, Marcus, 6 feet 4 inches, calm, trained, silent. "Put the weapon down." Brent froze. Marcus aimed a flashlight directly at him, light flooding Brent's hooded face. And in that bright, harsh light, something became clear. Karen's bruises were not from Derrick. They weren't from the dealership. They were from Brent. Derrick's eyes flashed with realization. "Karen, he hurt you." Karen collapsed to her knees, sobbing, shaking. "I didn't want him to hurt you. I just wanted my job back. I told him you embarrassed me. I didn't mean for him to." She stopped. Her voice dissolved in tears. Brent's face twisted with rage. "You told me he ruined your life. You said he humiliated you. I'm doing what you asked." Karen looked up at Derrick, eyes wide, broken. "No, I never asked him. I didn't know how to deal with losing everything." Stories like this aren't fiction, they're warnings. Hit subscribe and share so people see what a single moment of prejudice can ignite. Before Marcus could advance, Brent swung the tire iron. Not at Derrick, but at Marcus. Marcus dodged, swift, trained, stepping back. The tire iron smashed against the pavement, sparks flying. Brent charged again. Marcus moved to restrain him, expertly deflecting blows. Derrick stepped back, protecting Karen with his body. "Stay behind me." Karen sobbed, hyperventilating. I didn't mean for any of this." Police sirens blared in the distance. Red and blue lights reflected off car windows. "They're not taking me." He tried to charge again, but Marcus swept his legs, slamming him onto the asphalt. The tire iron clattered across the street. Officers arrived. Guns drawn. Commands shouted. "Freeze! Hands where we can see them." Brent screamed and thrashed, but officers pinned him down. Handcuffs clicked. The struggle ended. Karen sat trembling on the ground. Derrick knelt beside her, not out of pity, but humanity. "Karen, you need to tell them the truth." She nodded weakly. "Brent hurt me. I lied about everything. And that was it." The moment her entire narrative unraveled. Police officers exchanged glances. Body cameras recorded every word. As officers led Brent away, he shouted something chilling. "This isn't over. You hear me? It's not over." Karen flinched. Derrick remained silent. But the words lingered, like venom in the air. Officers questioned Karen. She admitted to exaggerating her story, allowing Brent to escalate, lying in her lawsuit, emotionally manipulating him. She broke down multiple times. Years of insecurity, entitlement, loss, and guilt poured out. She wasn't innocent, but she wasn't safe either. Derrick returned to his car, exhausted but composed. He called his legal team. "Proceed with counter-litigation. All of it." And then he called the dealership executives. "We don't bury this. We expose it." His voice carried strength, resolve, clarity. But when Derrick arrived home, his security system pinged. New voicemail received. He opened it. "Listen." A voice distorted by static whispered. Brent wasn't working alone. Derrick froze. His blood ran cold. And in that moment, Derrick realized the real enemy wasn't Brent, wasn't Karen, wasn't the dealership. It was something bigger, something he hadn't even seen yet. Derrick replayed the voicemail 5 times, analyzing every crackle of static. The voice wasn't Brent's, that much he knew. It was deeper, measured, calm. Too calm. Someone had gone out of their way to distort their identity. He walked to his home office, a minimalist sanctuary with controlled lighting and dual-monitor security displays. He sat, pressed replay, once more. Brent wasn't working alone. Your biggest mistake was thinking this ended with him. Derrick exhaled. Slow. Controlled. Who are you? He whispered to himself. Derrick started tracing patterns. Voicemail timing. Vehicle sightings. Security breaches. He noticed something he had previously overlooked. The black sedan wasn't random. 3 separate times, that same model with similar damage on the rear bumper had appeared on his camera footage. Once, when Karen was crying outside the dealership. Once the night Brent dropped the package. And once during the attempted break-in. This wasn't a coincidence. This was coordination. Derrick opened his laptop and pulled up the archived footage. He slowed it down frame by frame. Something caught his eye. A symbol, painted faintly on the sedan's back windshield. A circle with a diagonal slash. He recognized it instantly. A symbol used by a local underground activist group, one known for staging protests, intimidation, smear campaigns. A group Karen had been quietly associating with for years. The leader of that group was a man named Caleb Morton, a former political strategist turned radical community organizer. He was known for his ability to weaponize public opinion like a scalpel. He trained people to manipulate narratives, to turn victims into villains, and villains into martyrs. Derrick's jaw tightened. Caleb Morton was the real mastermind. He was the one pushing Karen to play victim, the one feeding Brent misinformation, the one orchestrating smear campaigns online. And Caleb, unlike Brent, was smart. Derrick's security team, Marcus included, advised against confronting Caleb directly. He's dangerous, not in muscle, in influence. Derrick nodded. I know. That's why I need to see him. Marcus looked at him, stunned. You plan on walking into a lion's den? I built my career in lion pits. I'll survive this one. Derrick arranged a meeting with Caleb through one of his own business contacts, a man who owed him a favor. The location, an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. A place where secrecy thrived, where truth could be twisted, where threats could echo. Derrick arrived alone. His car headlights washed over cracked pavement. A cold wind whipped through rusted metal and broken windows. He stepped inside. Caleb Morton waited inside, sitting on a crate. Faceless, a silhouette framed by a single dangling light bulb. He didn't stand, didn't move. Mr. Hayes, I've been expecting you. Derrick crossed his arms. Let's skip the theatrics. What do you want? Caleb chuckled softly, a sound that crawled beneath the skin. I want what everyone wants. Narrative control. Derrick stared at him. Karen is useful to me, and you are an obstacle. Caleb leaned forward slightly. Karen was humiliated. Perfect fuel for anger. Brent was loyal. Perfect fuel for chaos. Together, perfect instruments. Derrick's voice was low and cold. You used them. Caleb shrugged. People choose their role in life. I just give them a stage. Derrick stepped closer, eyes locked on the shadowed figure. Why target me? Caleb's answer was chilling. Because you're powerful. Because you're quiet. And because you're black and successful enough to intimidate those who fear you. And that fear brings attention, attention I can use. If you're still here, hit subscribe and share. Stories like this show how deep prejudice runs, from quiet manipulation to dangerous power plays. Caleb smiled, a twisted curve of confidence. Let's talk business. You withdraw your counter-litigation against Karen, and I call off the dogs. Derrick raised an eyebrow. In return, your reputation stays clean. No more smear campaigns. No more threats. Derrick studied him, observing posture, tone, control. And if I refuse? Caleb's answer was instant. Then your life becomes chaotic. I destroy everything you've built. And Karen becomes the martyr of the century. Derrick's jaw tightened. Quietly, Derrick pulled out his phone. He pressed a button. Everything you just said is recorded. Caleb froze for the first time. You think recording me changes anything? Derrick's expression never shifted. It changes everything, especially when that recording goes to headquarters, the police, and the press. Caleb stood, slow, deliberate. You just made a very big mistake. The light flickered. Footsteps echoed behind Derrick. Two silhouettes stepped out from the shadows, tall, muscular men. You think you walk out of here alive? Derrick didn't respond. He didn't panic, because Marcus was already outside, waiting, with backup. Before Caleb could give an order, the warehouse door exploded inward. Marcus stormed in, flashlight in one hand, baton in the other. Down! He shouted. His team followed, swift and trained. The shadowed men hesitated, long enough. Marcus didn't need guns. He needed precision. In seconds, the two men were disarmed and pinned. Caleb backed away slowly. Derrick walked past Caleb, eyes never leaving him. This ends with you in handcuffs, not me. Caleb smirked in the darkness. Walk away, Mr. Hayes. Walk away while you still can. Police sirens screamed. Officers swarmed the warehouse. Caleb vanished into the shadows, gone before the officers entered. Only his echo remained. Back home, Derrick checked his phone. One new voicemail. Same distorted voice. You exposed the pawn. Now the king moves. Watch your back. Derrick stared at the phone. No fear, only focus. The real war wasn't with Karen. Wasn't with Brent. It was with a man who could turn entire communities against him with a single narrative. And Derrick Hayes had just become his primary target.